Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Hayden with the Hill Pursuit podcast. In today's episode 62 of the show, we talk a little bit about everything. We actually start with a little discussion on The Ultimate Fighter, a TV show that I started watching and we both have watched in the past. And we talk about the athleticism that's required for fighting and rolling and mixed martial arts in general. And it's pretty good discussion. We kind of revisit that a few times throughout today. We also talk about how Mitch's back is recovering and healing and the steps he's taking to do that the right way. As of yesterday, the Ohio 70.3 athlete guide was made available. So now that we're less than 2.5 weeks away, we can finally see the athlete guide. Brief discussion on that. Along those lines, we also talk a little bit about taper and what a taper looks like in terms of training, what a taper looks like in terms of almost like a mental refresher or a mental taper as well, and things that I can do moving forward to make sure that I am tapering both physically and mentally. And then lastly, we talk about how athletes can come in many different shapes and sizes. I'm not going to give too much away on that one, but it's one that's very non-traditional, and you're going to want to listen to the entire show so you can catch that discussion at the end. But again, thanks for listening. This is episode 62. And guys, real quick, if you want to reach out to us at all, you always can drop us a comment at hillpursuit@gmail.com. Start a conversation, ask a question, give some feedback. That's our email address. hillpursuit.com. You can access the daily blog. This and all other podcast episodes are also listed there. And then lastly, find us on social. Okay, at Hill Pursuit. We would love to connect with you. We appreciate you guys listening. That's all for now. Enjoy the show. Hey, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing good. I'm a little tired this morning, not gonna lie. An early July morning. I know 6 a.m. isn't like crazy early or anything, but yeah, I'm pretty tired. I'm feeling good, but I am pretty tired. Yeah.
Did you for this, or you got it later today?
No, I didn't do anything yet. I have a 2-hour run today, so I'm pretty sure it's my last big run. I might have like an hour 15, but this is like I'm pretty sure it's the last like planned intentional tempo run. So I had an early day planned anyway, so this isn't like inconvenient or anything, and 6 a.m.'s plenty, but yeah, slept in until now. Sometimes I'm up and moving by 5, but yeah, but that's what's on the list for me today. What's on the list for you today?
Yeah, just I deadlifted yesterday and did some pressing. So today's more just probably some sled work and nothing real crazy. Maybe roll tonight. I don't know yet.
Nice.
Got to see how the day pans out a little bit. Got some stuff to do, and I'm hoping to get there. But got some other stuff going on too, and just like sometimes life happens. So we'll see how that works out. So nothing real wild to report on over here.
Dude, speaking of jujitsu and rolling around, I started watching. There's a new season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Is it really? That's a blast.
You ever get into that?
That's a blast from the past for me, man. That was,
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't think I've watched it because I haven't really had cable in such a long time. But it's on. What's it on? It's on ESPN Plus.
okay.
And that came with the Hulu that we bought.
Okay.
We have Hulu. We don't have cable, and it's pretty good. I like it a lot. I think the last season I watched was the Ronda Rousey Misha Tate season, which I literally had to look up how long ago that was it was like season 18 and now they're on like season 30. It's pretty crazy. So, um, but yeah, dude, it's intense. Those people are super, super fit. The training they do is wild. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's great though. I really like it. I know you'd like it too. That's
yeah,
why I
man.
brought it up.
It used to be real like the back like when it even like first started. Like the Forrest Griffin fight when
He's kind of like hosting it this year.
he's the man. Yeah,
That's
he's
pretty
definitely
cool.
my favorites. Yeah, I don't have cable either, so I'm kind of in the same boat you were in for a long time. And it was always fun. I mean, it's pretty cool how they you know give them the opportunity and those dudes. Well, I guess they have women now too, which is cool. They just duke it out, man.
Yeah, they have heavyweight men and flyweight female. So it's all in the same season. It's pretty cool. And I mean, everyone's incredible. It's definitely entertaining, that's for sure. But what else is going on? How has training been going? Deadlifted yesterday. And you texted me the other day. I meant to ask you when you were doing some back squats in Mitchie's garage gym. But how's your back been feeling?
It's going good.
Yeah.
I capped my deadlift at 5 yesterday. Like no matter how good I felt, I was only it was the PR set for a 531 the 531 week. So I like 95% of my training max.
Yeah.
Intended you try to push that last set. But I'm pretty much only capping my deadlifts and squats at 5 reps, no matter how good I feel, just to not kind of not not rehash anything or get something, And plus, like I said, I didn't have a lot of time yesterday, so and that's what happened before. I didn't have a lot of time to get a real good warm up in. Honestly, my warm up yesterday was just a bunch of singles on the deadlift. I just did. I don't even know. I did probably about 10 singles at just like 135, and then I bumped up to like 225 and just did a bunch of singles. And then I started getting into my working sets a little bit. I think I might have jumped up to a little bit higher in the twos. And then I started my working sets. And yeah, like I said, I only capped it at 5 for my last set. And it was nothing super heavy. I think it was only like 340. So I just hit that for 5 and called it.
Well, that's good. I mean, from time to time, I forget to ask you, but from time to time, when we talk about what we're doing or you send me a quick text, it always crosses my mind. And I forgot to ask you recently. So it's good to hear that it's going all right and you're taking a little bit of precaution at least and waiting until things are better.
Yeah, like it feels great. I'm having no issues, but it's kind
Still,
of exactly. It's kind of like the first time I'm back on a site pushing things a little bit. So just kind of trying to ease it back in. So we'll
nice,
see.
nice.
You feel
No, I feel good. So I guess I'm probably tired because um, I was kind of by myself like most of the day yesterday with the girls, and that just sometimes is a really really long day. But yeah, so I was on parenting duty while my wife was working most of the evening. Didn't get home till close to 9, so that's really it. It's not like my training has me tired or anything. It really doesn't. But um, yeah, dude, training is going really, really well. I was in the pool 2 days ago, and I hadn't swam on vacation at all back when we talked about that, and I was okay with that because I was doing a lot of like swim specific strength stuff, and I was feeling good coming back and got in the water and have just been like feeling great. So I'm really encouraged by my swim right now. I just had like a 3,300-meter session, which is a long session because the entire swim of a 70.3 is only 2,000 meters. So, you're putting in intervals
Yeah.
over the entire volume that's required. And all of those intervals are hard, so I feel really strong right now in the water, and I feel like there's potential that I could have a really, really great swim like I did at Eagle Man, which would be awesome. I would love that. But ironically, it's weird because my family has a lake house out in the town for Ohio 70.3, the same town. And we were out there this past weekend on the boat, and the water temperature was like 81. And that's very warm, which means you can't wear a wetsuit for the swim. So, because it's too warm. Wetsuit legal is 76.2 degrees or under. If it's between 76.2 and it's like 83 something, it's called wetsuit optional. And if you still want to wear your wetsuit, you're allowed, but then you have to start behind everybody else. And you're not eligible for placements or things like that. So, and then after 83, if it's any higher, it's prohibited because your core temp could rise too high, and of course you're at risk for some adverse cardiac event or whatever. So it's looking like there's not going to be a wetsuit, and I'm fine with that. It's just going to make the swim a little bit slower. It'll probably make transition a little bit faster because you don't have to peel off a wetsuit. So give or take, it doesn't really matter to me. My swim feels strong enough. I don't feel like I need the wetsuit at all, but I just know it's going to scare a lot of people. So I'm curious to see how that goes, because a lot of people don't train the swim quite enough to feel comfortable without their wetsuit. So I'm curious to just kind of see how that plays out. But running has been going pretty well. Same kind of deal. I've been doing mainly smaller intervals after really, really extended warm-ups. So I had I think I had a 75-minute run the other day. My working intervals were 3 to 5 minutes. That's it, pretty hard, which is great. I love that. That's my sweet spot stuff. So my run has been feeling pretty strong. Today's long run is more steady. It's supposed to be a negative split, so starting super, super light, almost as slow as I possibly can, but with a normal running gait, and then picking up to a tempo pace and then pushing for the last 30 minutes. So we'll see how that goes, but for the most part, running's been pretty strong. Speaking to that point too, it has potential to be really, really humid at this race too. So, that changes absolutely everything. And, the run can turn into 1 minute slower per mile, than you want it to be, or 90 seconds slower per mile than you want it to be. So mentally, you kind of have to deal with that. It's you have a time in mind and you want a PR, but you can't just go after it based on, it depends on the situation of the day and the temperature, the humidity. And so, there's a lot that goes into that, but I'm anticipating a pretty hot and humid run just because I was out there again this weekend and got in a run, and it was only 72 when I was running, 72 degrees, but it was very, very still and extremely humid, and it was smoking. It felt really hot. So, if it even gets over 80 and it's humid, we're in for it. It could be a really tough run. So, it's kind of nice because I was out at the lake this past weekend. I got 2 rides in, I got 2 runs in, I got a swim in. I actually they weren't really like hard training sessions at all. They were all easy, but just to like be out there in the environment, I think it was pretty good. And I'm going out again this weekend to ride the entire course. So I'll get on my bike at the time that the bike is going to start, and I'll just ride the whole course and have a little bit of a run off the bike. But my cycling, I think, is pretty strong. If I had to pick something that's like not improving and just kind of feels like it is what it is, it's probably my cycling. But I feel like my cycling is really strong. So improving in such short time periods it doesn't happen regularly when, all the time. So that's a good summary of kind of where my training's at. I'm still lifting like 4 days a week. I'm probably next week. I'm exactly 2 weeks out next week, so I'll probably cut the next week back to like just twice, and then race week I'll just hit some super light stuff just one time, just as something to like, just mentally, just because I love doing it and just kind of something different. So I'm definitely going to pull it back, but I'm still going to lift a few more times this week and then drop that a little bit just so I can focus a little bit more. But the athlete guide just got posted yesterday. And typically the athlete guide gets posted 6 weeks out from a race, and it's only like 2 weeks and like 3 days away. So everyone was kind of freaking out, like, why is the athlete guide taking so long to come out? And people were kind of wondering if there was like a logistical issue with like parking or shuttle buses or permits in the city for space to do things. I don't know, but turns out there were no issues. It's just a brand new race venue, so it just took them a while. The race starts at 6 a.m. though, so that's a little different, because in the past races have started at like 7 a.m. So I think that's probably good in terms of the temperature though. So I don't know if it's good in terms of the swim. If it depends on how the wind is blowing, but it's possible that the swim could be choppy that early in the morning. But anyway, that was nice. I read through that a little bit last night. No real surprises. What's kind of cool is the transition area. I hope this is cool. It looks cool. The transition area is all pavement. It looks like it's in a massive parking lot or like a marina, like a parking lot of a marina.
Mm.
And most of the transition areas that not most, all of them that I've done have been in grass, like big grass fields. And it's like, it's hard to say how this will be set up, but it looks like it's going to be a faster transition. One, because you're on pavement, you're not like trudging through other people's mud as they're coming out of the water. You know what I mean? So it looks like it'll be quicker in that sense, but it also looks like it's more condensed and there's less real estate to travel from swim to transition, and then out of transition. So it looks like transitions could be pretty quick, which is great, because my last race, the transition area was just massive, so humongous. And it wasn't just humongous. There were like weird lanes that you had to come in the lane, and then you had to travel the entire way around transition to get in on the other side. It was the same for everybody. That wasn't the issue. It was just like, you're like running for 3 minutes with your bike in your bike shoes in grass just to get into the transition area. So transition is automatically like at least 3 minutes, and you're running for 3 minutes, right? So you're running without even being on the run course. I mean, it felt pretty long, but I'm hoping that transition can be tightened a little bit. I don't really think I have anything else major to report from the athlete guide. Everything else is pretty standard. Trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. You got anything?
Yeah, no, it's I could definitely obviously see that being a positive. You know, definitely a little bit more mentally, just knowing, I
Yeah,
don't know, crazy, haul, like a little, even like a little bit of a haul at that point. I think all your energy is valuable. So if you can just kind of dump off and swap out, it's probably just a mental break too. Man, probably something to look forward to that you didn't have before. So that'll be cool. I'll be excited to see how that turns out. That's awesome.
yeah. I imagine. Yeah, I mean, I imagine being on blacktop is also going to be quicker. Your footing is going to be a lot more stable, but the bike itself, you can push faster and like smoother on blacktop. And like I, I'm out in that area every couple weeks over the summer, so I know what those parking lots look like. They're not humongous, so that could be either a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, if they're cramming 2,500 athletes into small parking lots, that could end up being logistically an issue. But if the parking lot's not super big and it doesn't feel swamped, then I think that transition could be pretty fast. So that's what I'm hoping, because I don't know if I don't know if my fitness has changed a whole lot in 6 weeks between races, but I can have a better game plan for this race, which I'm still feeling that out. And then I can also shorten transitions.
Mhm.
Even if my fitness is unchanged in 6 weeks, having a better game plan and shortening transitions, you can still improve your time. But I do think that my fitness has changed a little bit in 6 weeks, hopefully, maybe just enough to perform a little bit better. I know we talked about hopefully like 520 being a goal, but I don't know if I felt like it was doable last race. So I imagine if just some small tweaks, it's
Yeah.
probably doable, especially if I can shorten transition just kind of by default without even really trying. So hopefully that happens. But um, yeah, so that's where I'm at. I have that big long ride this weekend, and then at that point, being 2 weeks out, pretty much going into almost an automatic taper, if not like a hard taper within the middle of next week. So, how do you feel about tapers for events, different types of events, right? I know you don't do like endurance stuff, but like what, what's your experience with a taper as it relates to, maybe like some lifting or just big competitive events, or like a wrestling match back in high school? Like, what did it look like? Or
Yeah.
not
So
just high school, in college, I'm sure you had some pretty structured. Did you have structured like tapers or reductions of intensity and volume as a college wrestler?
yeah, like I said, I didn't wrestle real long in college, but
Yeah.
uh, even then though, wrestling is like a hard sport to kind of look at that because you wrestle so frequent.
Yeah. Yep.
Might just have a day where you go in, and you just drop the intensity. It's like it's kind of one or the other in wrestling. Sometimes if your team, if you can tell they're gassed, like just personal experience, it was either one or the other. Practice would be super light. Maybe it would be a little bit longer of a practice or an average length practice, but the intensity would be super light. Maybe we wouldn't. Sometimes we would just do stuff that doesn't even pertain to wrestling. Just kind of give the mental aspect a break too, or we would just do some technical work, or we would do the opposite. It would be we would drill super hard, but it would only be like a 40-minute drill session. It was just the time would be cut.
Keep the intensity, but drop the duration. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And so there wasn't like a week long taper or anything. It would just kind of fluctuate within like a week.
Yeah.
Like a match Wednesday, Usually Tuesday was just like a heavy drill. Thursday, usually more of a heavy practice. Friday, heavy drill out, and then tournament Saturday. And who knows how much you're going to wrestle then. And then Monday, usually kind of do your own thing. If you need to work. If not, kind of recover. And then it all just starts again.
Yeah. Going back to Ultimate Fighter, it's not like they have 3 weeks to prep for one fight, and where they can actually plan 4 or 5 days of an actual taper and reducing things and dropping the intensity of some drills and the timing of and volume of things. Like with wrestling, at least from my experience in high school, not even close to I'm sure what you experienced, but you're right. I mean, you kind of wrestle whenever, and matches can be whenever. So it's not like you have 3 weeks in between matches. At most, you have like 4 or 5 days.
Probably the most like taper, especially probably getting ready for like the end of the season tournament. Whether it's you're in high school and you have states, or you're in college and you have your like a conference meet, and then you go for if you qualify for nationals. That's probably where you probably taper the most. Leading into those, you usually wrestle your last match, and then maybe like a week or two in between your last normal season match and getting ready for quote unquote postseason wrestling. So there might be a little bit of a time to taper for that. Maybe that last week. You're probably traveling in there too to get where you need to wrestle. This is any sport. You maybe those last few days are used to travel, and then whether it's football and you're doing like a walk through somewhere, or I know wrestling, we used to get in the venue sometimes the night before and maybe go through a drilling session. They'd open it up, and you'd maybe just get a sweat going, and then go back ready to hit it the next day. So
Yeah. Well, real quick, speaking of college wrestling, did you see that Penn State extended Kale?
No, I did. I mean,
Yeah. Anyway, so he'll be around for quite a while.
why wouldn't they?
Right. Pay him whatever he wants. But anyway, so you mentioned something quick about just like a mental taper, and I've been thinking about this too. And over this past week, really, that's the only time I started thinking about it. But it's kind of ironic that you brought it up. I'm kind of curious how you think that looks, or what that has looked like for you in the past, in terms of like reducing outside stress and just kind of honing in and focusing a little bit more. What does that look like for you? I have some ideas of like what I might do for somewhat of like a mental taper and kind of relaxing a little bit, but you mentioned it. So what has that looked like for you, or what should it look like?
Yeah, like, so for me, especially like now in this point, say, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Say it's, for me, it's like a deload week. I'll still probably be on the barbell, but I'm not afraid to, say like I've been doing a lot of sled work. Maybe I'll throw on a pack and go for a walk, maybe or on a hike, something like that. Something where I'm still moving, or like I'll use my conditioning as like maybe scouting for animals. Like if deer season's coming up, I'll get out in the woods. I'll put on like a pack and go, set some trail cameras, check them, pull cards, stuff like that. Something where I'm getting some work in, but my mind's not necessarily on, this has to be done in this X amount of time, or
Nice.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm not following a clock. I'm just I'm doing something, work without the thought is kind of like my thing.
Yeah. Kind of like disguising it as something that's not training, but still just like doing a little bit of work.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still working something that I technically would have intent, but I'm just doing something else I enjoy.
Yeah. Sweet. So I've been thinking about that myself, and I'm going to try to read. I'm going to try to finish reading Cam Hanes' Endure book
Okay.
during probably the next 2 weeks, starting next week. Because I've kind of been away from it a little bit, just being busy with work stuff, and I'm trying to get ahead so I can not have extra outside stress. But
Yeah, I think that's a big one too.
yeah, so I'm gonna try to, take my brain off of like too much work and try to do a little bit more like just reading for pleasure if I can, and not just nothing though. Not that I think you can't read whatever you want when that's happening, but I'm gonna try to read, motivational stuff related to exercise. I mean, Cam Hanes is pretty crazy dude when it comes to endurance sports and obviously hunting. So it's going to be fun stuff to read, and it's going to be hopefully motivational. So that's what I plan to finish that book, and then just try to like eliminate other distractions like maybe social media for a little bit. That doesn't really distract me too much, but that kind of stuff, or like TV shows, or whatever, just try to read or something, and almost just not really meditate. I'm not really someone who meditates, but really just think about how I want the day to go, how I want the race to go. And I think that can really go a long way. Kind of visualizing how you want everything to go. Like,
Yeah,
when are you waking up? What are you eating? What time are you showing up? What needs to be brought into transition that morning? What prep do you have to do on your bike? How smooth do you want transition 1 to go? What do you need to do during transition 2? How hard are you going to, you have so many different things to think about. I mean, you got a 5 to 6 hour race. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about. So, um, kind of just going through some of those steps, I think, in my head is also beneficial. And, I plan to do that for a significant amount of time over the next 2 weeks as well. But I think that's a good one, like something like a hike in the woods, or something fun, like maybe taking the girls to a park and going for a walk that we haven't really gone to a whole lot, or that we haven't gone to at all, something like that. Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff I think can go a long way, almost like disguising it, but still getting outside, getting some sun, and still, working up a little bit of a sweat or something. For sure is what I'm going to hope to be doing over the next 2 weeks.
I want to circle back some real quick.
Yeah,
We were talking. You brought up the Ultimate Fighter. I think I texted you this too. Me and my wife went to a rodeo last weekend, and
yeah,
I haven't been to one in a little bit. You want to talk about athletes, man? Bro, it's insane.
yeah,
Not even, a lot of them are probably just, I think, just not just, but they're ranchers or they're cowboys, and that's their job. But then they rodeo on the side. But there's definitely the one guy. The announcer was from Texas, and he brought a kid that just turned 18, just pulled his pro card for bull riding, and that he brought him with. He drew a bull that has never been ridden before, and he didn't ride all 8. But man, like you see these ropers and the so I don't know how familiar you are with rodeo. Are you at all?
Not familiar outside of like what you see on TV. Like, I've never experienced it in person or anything. So
So there's like a calf wrestling event, right? So essentially you have a calf bull in the middle of a chute, and then you have a guy on a horse on one side and a guy on a horse on the right side. They let the calf out in the middle, and it's a team event. So it's like if you're on a horse and I'm on a horse, you would be released like to the right of me. It's all, and I'm not real. I'm just it's kind of like it's kind of how I interpret what happened. I never did it before. So one guy on the horse, it seems like his responsibility is to keep that calf in between you and your other rider. The other rider literally dumps off of his horse to get on this cast, and that I don't know if you have to roll it, but you literally wrestle it to the ground. But you're full sprint on this horse, and
Wow.
you dump off right on this animal's back.
Wow.
I'm like, one, it's mentally insane. And two, the timing has to be incredible. And
Dude,
then,
that's intense.
and yeah, it is. And three, just the toughness. These there's some that they dumped off their horse and just totally missed.
Yeah.
And you're just eating it. I mean, luckily, I know you're falling on sand, but I would like to know how many miles per hour your horse gets up to before you even actually spill off the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, then just like the roping, they're roping as they're moving on a horse. It's pretty incredible. It was pretty. So
yeah, that's sweet, dude. That's a great point. I just kind of jotted that down. Like, dude, athletes come in many shapes and sizes. You have no clue like what athleticism is required for different tasks that maybe you have no experience with, right? Like, I have no experience with that, but that like hearing you explain that is super intense.
Oh, well, yeah, it's like 12 seconds or however long it is of just 100%. Well, it's like focus and just physical intensity. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is super intense. My rodeo experience extends to the TV show Yellowstone, and that's about it.
Great show. I can't knock.
It's a great show, yeah, but I mean, it's a show. So
they're coming out with another season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty juiced for it. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was a cool show, but it's still a show, so I don't really have any experience with any of it.
Yeah, and I mean, just like the bronc riders and the bull riding. I mean, to stay on something like that. I mean, those bulls are over 1,000 pounds at least, and they're jumping, twisting, and you're literally doing it's insane. And I think just obviously they're athletes, but just the toughness. I think that's probably the most the grit. That's just I don't even know if there's a sport you can really relate to. I mean, one dude, the bull literally laid on him. He got crushed. Gets up, like keels over at the gate. And a rule is like if the bull lays down, you get another ride. he rode again,
even though it laid down on him.
Yeah, it was on him. He's like the last ride again. He like gets in the chute and he rides again. It's insane, man. It's crazy.
That's wild. That's a different world that I have zero experience with or zero even exposure to. That's intense.
So yeah, encourage people to look that stuff. It's pretty cool. I think it's definitely I feel like a world that doesn't get explored enough by like people in the fitness. I don't even want to say fitness, but people that follow different kind of sports. It's kind of like falls in like the realm of like base jumping or stuff like that. Something you don't even like normally think of, like dudes that are just people that are just probably insane, but good athletes. But you don't even kind of just flies by the way kind of type thing.
Yeah, just because it's not in the mainstream.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's pretty cool.
No, dude, that's absolutely sick. That's really cool. I don't really have anything else. What about you?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it. I think just a good recap of kind of what's going on. Hopefully, some stuff will come up.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, thanks for listening. This was episode 62. Find us on social at Hill Pursuit, the website, hillpursuit.com, the daily blog, and you can contact us there, find all other podcast episodes. And then, of course, if you want to start a conversation, hillpursuit@gmail.com. Send us an email. We'd love to have a chat, get some feedback, subscribe to all our stuff. We have YouTube now as well. That's Hill Pursuit, of course. So find all those things. Check it out. Like, share, subscribe, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.